The fallout from Full Gear is felt tonight on AEW Dynamite as Daniel Bryan, the new number one contender for the AEW World title, is making a beeline for the new AEW champion, Hangman Adam Page. And did he turn heel in the process? Plus, Tomasso Ciampa makes a big reference to a family member of Bron Breakker, saying that he only has a 33 and a third percent chance of ever getting his title. We're going to get into all of this tonight on the Debrief. Watch out, watch out, watch out, watch out! What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Debrief here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. I'm your host, Osa G. Next to me, the top Chico himself, Rico el Glorioso. What's going on, broski?
Oh, man. Fresh off the heels of a great Full Gear show. That just means Survivor Series is around the corner. That means it is almost the road to WrestleMania time. It is holiday season, all these things happening at once. But it's, again, they mentioned it on TV tonight. It is still a great time to be a wrestling fan. How are you doing, Jose?
I'm doing great, bro. We just had a great weekend of wrestling with Full Gear. Tremendous pay-per-view. We have Raw that started off pretty good. NXT was but tonight's Dynamite was pretty damn good, and we got Survivor Series this weekend, so there's a lot to look forward to. But let's jump right into it. Before we get into all of it, guys, make sure you are liking, sharing, and subscribing. Right now on our YouTube, we're right there. We're right at 23,000. Just help us get us over there this week. Should get us right over 23,000. You can keep liking, sharing, and subscribing. Smash that notification bell so you never miss whenever we drop brand new content. We're going to have tons of cool stuff coming out this weekend ahead of Survivor Series. Saturday afternoon around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to have the 4-on-4 head-to-head Team Sid versus Team Rick trivia challenge. I'm on Team Rick, so that's going to be an interesting live stream. And then Sunday night, we're going to have the Survivor Series post-show with myself, Kevin Kellum, and Jeremy Bennett. We're going to be breaking down everything that went down on Sunday's November's event. So we got a lot of stuff coming down. Plus, we're going to have exclusive content coming from New York with Sid. He's going to be there getting some interviews ahead of Survivor Series. So we got a lot of stuff that's going to be dropping. The only way you can keep up with it, you got to set your notifications so that way you never miss whenever we drop brand new stuff. All right, guys, let's jump in to AEW, man. The fallout from Full Gear. Full Gear was a hell of a pay-per-view, and this fallout show is pretty good. We got an opening segment, the right way you should do it, celebrating Adam Page's recent win, becoming the new AEW champion in his home state of Virginia. It was good. He got the reception. He got the Dark Order to welcome him. But it was what happened next when he immediately called Bryan Danielson. Danielson came out, immediately challenged him. He said, well, let's fight. And, he did the one who said, oh, well, when I won the championship at WrestleMania.
How you going to drop that? How you going to drop the WM?
My title the very next day. Bro, he got booed. Bro, they said any mention of WWE, the crowd immediately just went boo. And then every single yes kick is now a no kick. Big time heel turn. Do you think it's a heel turn, or you just think this is just cocky Daniel Bryan being, or a cocky American Daniel Bryanson?
This is him having to be the heel against the babyface of Hangman Adam Page, especially in Hangman's home state of Virginia. It just felt they went way too hard into that turn. Like, I get it. You need to play up, you want to have this dynamic. It can't just be a babyface versus babyface. You want to give some edge to it, especially with how hard Hangman had to work. And he even said it at the beginning when they were chanting, "You deserve it." He's like, no, I earned this. And he did, because this was a payoff of a long-term story since the inception of AEW, where he even said, I said it on the first night at the press conference, and I was there when he said, you guys are my boss. So he asked, of course, the fans, can he celebrate Cowboy-ish Day? So, of course, they, gave it up to him. He's living in this whole babyface world. And out comes Bryan Danielson, and it looks like it's going to be a nice little face-off between babyface versus babyface. Let the best man win. It's going to be a great match. And no, Daniel just turns on a dime, and he just starts going in on Adam Page, just like you said, how when right after WrestleMania, I defended my title. I'm always ready to wrestle. You say you're a fighting champion. I'm a fighting champion. I'm the one that's here in my gear. You're over here wearing jeans and you're wearing, some leather vest, some leather jacket and all this, your cowboy getup. That's how you celebrate. Like I've been wrestling every single day, and you've been doing your cowboyish, which you haven't been on TV. You haven't been wrestling. I guess that's how you deal with it. But I've been here competing. So he just really starts getting into, really the American Dragon. Like he is the indie guy that always performed whenever he could. And he's using that to turn into the heel, which has to play up into the dynamic between these two. But I like it. It gives him that nice edge. It gives him
I do too.
That sense of like brutality when he beat down on Evil Uno, because it set up the next match, which is Bryan Danielson versus Evil Uno.
It almost makes you wonder, right? It almost makes you wonder if this is going to be the conspiracy theory, right? Is this an inside WWE job? Like WWE, he's off the books, right? He's off the books. But Vince McMahon sent Bryan Danielson over to AEW so he could literally kick the effing heads off of everybody on the roster. Just kind of makes you ponder. Highly unlikely, but makes you kind of wonder, like, damn, okay, because now he's playing the heel that the AEW fans like or hate, which is a WWE guy. And he's playing one to the teeth, and he did it so well tonight. And if you guys found yourself booing him or hating him because he's mentioned WrestleMania and his past, you know what? He did his job.
He did what he was aiming for. And it got people so invested. Like you said, they wanted to boo him. And then even after that match, because he beat Evil Uno with a triangle. He didn't even use the label lock. He didn't use the flying knee. No, he beat him with a triangle choke. And he grabbed the mic afterward and said, you know what?
Barely, bro. Barely. He hit him with the knee, with the running knee. And then as soon as
right into the triangle.
Like, that's it. Done.
Tapped out. So I said, you know what? Until I face Hangman Adam Page, you know what? I'm going to kick in all the members of the Dark Order's head. And we're going to be in Chicago next week. And I think there's a member of the Dark Order from Chicago. So how about next week I kick in the head of Colt Cabana? So then we're going to get a match. Bryan Danielson versus Colt Cabana next week on Rampage in Chicago. That's going to be another entertaining one. It plays up. It makes sense in the storyline, and I'm here for it. I love seeing this.
Guys, if you're just tuning in, make sure you are engaging with the show. Hit that like button, the heart button, laugh emoji, angry emoji. It doesn't matter. Go ahead and engage with the show. Sharing is caring. Sound off in the comments on what you thought of tonight's AEW Dynamite. We're going to jump into your comments and your questions later on in the show. If you want to listen to the podcast version, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. We're available wherever major podcasts are available. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, wherever you can find us on Spotify, anywhere. Go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube. Leave us to the podcast and leave us a review. All right. So continuing on with Dynamite, it was a good show. Let's talk about this matchup here. We got the Forbidden Door opened yet again. The new New Japan Never Openweight Champion, Tomohiro Ishii, coming out with Rocky Romero with the best friends. Now that they're all part of Chaos, going up against the Butcher and the Blade. Man, this was a good matchup, and I always love seeing Ishii in the ring. Good pop for Ishii tonight in Virginia. Again, the crowd knows their people, knows their New Japan guys. But it's always a treat when we get to see a New Japan legend, a living legend like Ishii, just throwing it down with the guys in AEW. Loved it.
The Stone Pitbull himself teaming up with the most nonchalant. So you got one of the most serious guys in New Japan going up against the most lackadaisical guy. That can't turn it on when the match calls for it. But the most laid back guy in Orange Cassidy, and it makes for a good tag team, surprisingly enough. Granted, I would still prefer, I would love to see Okada and Orange Cassidy team up at some point. That's, if anything, that's further down the road. But the fact that they brought a champion from New Japan, they brought in the never openweight champion in Tomohiro Ishii, and they even brought up his history, being a 6-time openweight champion. So they brought in a big name from New Japan, Now they've brought in Suzuki. They brought in Ishii. Who knows before we can get Naito or we get Okada or we could get, Tanahashi again. Like, you never know what could happen. And I love having these little, just little nods and these little, hey, something like that could happen. But overall, this match was entertaining, even though you did have your interference from Matt Hardy and from the Bunny. At the end of the day, even with the brass knuckles, the Blade couldn't get it done. Just like you said, they played it up to the right crowd. These are a lot of wrestling fans that know who he is, so they got to talk, really get to enjoy what he can do. And he did a great job, especially facing off against a bigger guy in the Butcher. Like, there was that awesome exchange where he just starts hitting him with forearms, and Ishii just shrugs him off. He just takes every single forearm to the jaw and walks him all the way across the ring before he starts letting his offense onto the Butcher. I thought this was great. I think this was a great tag team to have against these guys too. Like, having Butcher and the Blade go up against Orange Cassidy and Tomohiro Ishii. I thought it was great. And it's just another big win for Chaos. And of course, our boy Rocky Romero getting in the ring and trying to get the ref to hold up his hand too, as if he did something in the match. But overall, Rocky. It was a win for Chaos. So, hopefully we get more of this. We get more of those guys from New Japan.
Looks like we are. It looks like we are. We got some last week. It was kind of like a little taste. Now that we found out that as of last week that Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends are part of the Chaos faction, and they continued it this week. So I'm really hoping that we do get that. One thing I do want to get to here really quick, Ricky Castillo watching us on Facebook is saying, I was waiting for the Briscoes to come out. Now, there was a report that broke earlier today during our top story broadcast that there was a report that the Briscoes, them boys, were reportedly backstage at tonight's Dynamite. Now, we didn't say that they were set to debut. We said that they were backstage, so I don't know what the plan is for the Briscoes. But a lot of eyes on that tag team, one of the best tag teams on the independent circuit, represented Ring of Honor over many, many years. They were pretty much a mainstay over there. But yeah, they were supposed to be backstage tonight. Don't know what happened. Don't know if plans just didn't work out in their favor. But we'll definitely keep an eye on that for you guys. Moving on here, Rico, we did have a backstage segment with Andrade El Idolo and FTR. Looks like FTR is going to give them another week for free to Andrade. It's something that they're going to do a beatdown for free. Why are they losing money?
So at this point, again, it's all about the money. It's all a business proposition when it comes to Andrade El Idolo and FTR. But it looks like we are going to be getting an 8-man tag match. If I'm not mistaken, these guys are going to be included in this. So it's going to be it's going to be Death Triangle, not just the Lucha Brothers. It's going to be Death Triangle, so Pac included, and Cody going up against Malachi Black, Andrade El Idolo, and FTR. So that's going to be another great 8-man tag match. Granted, hopefully Dax Harwood is going to be 100% to compete, because there was speculation that he was a little knocked up during the AEW Tag Team Championship match against the Lucha Brothers from Rey Fenix, which apparently Phoenix got a little bit of heat for not having checked in on him as soon as the moment happened. However, it looks like he's going to be good to compete, and they're going to be able to have this 8-man tag match, which that's going to be a fun one to watch. It's going to be interesting to watch, because that's a lot of mixture of different styles in that ring, but 8 incredibly talented wrestlers. So it's going to be a fantastic match to watch.
Now let's talk about this segment here with CM Punk and MJF, man. The crowd got going on this. I think everybody felt it at home. I sure as hell felt it at home. That face-off between CM Punk, MJF. I'm trying to prep for the show, but I'm too distracted by this segment. Man, I didn't have to be there to tell that there was electricity in the air when those two were facing off.
Oh, it was like, oh, this is happening now. Okay. And the crowd got behind it, because we knew at some point, you had to put two of arguably the best guys on the mic right now in AEW against each other, in CM Punk and MJF. And neither one of them really have anything going right now, especially after MJF got the decisive win over Darby Allin, even though it was a little bit shenanigans involved. And CM Punk got the definitive win over Eddie Kingston. And now Eddie Kingston's going to be with 2.0, apparently, because Daniel Garcia and 2.0 got in his face when he was trying to interview with Tony Schiavone. And for one interview, can have one interview where somebody doesn't interrupt, I'm going to go to catering. So since those feuds are over, this is it's fresh time for both of these guys to have new feuds, and it lines up against each other. So after MJF is out here talking himself up, talking himself how he's going to be the hottest free agent in 2024, because he's even done a really good job outside of normal television of keeping possible bridges open, of being possibly courted by WWE when his contract with AEW runs out. He's talking himself up. He is one of the 4 pillars. He got the win over Darby Allin, so he is the hottest guy right now in AEW. Not only is he the best in the mic, he proved himself in the ring. And of course, when you're talking about being the best in the ring, out comes CM Punk. And I love that he did not say a single thing. He just came out to the ring, looked at MJF. MJF walked away trying to take it all in.
Was something like that with a money match that big?
How am I going to do this?
He doesn't need to say anything. You don't need to. The staring, the feeding off of the crowd speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. You don't need a long storyline for this match to be, the marquee match of a pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It set up perfectly because he's going to get that chance to talk, but it didn't need to be right now. Let MJF start the foundation of him talking himself up. CM Punk comes out here. He doesn't say anything. MJF, tries to quiet down the crowd and all this stuff. He's just doing all the talking. He's like, Maxwell tries to introduce himself to CM Punk, and very poetic flip side, just the exact reverse of what just happened between him and Eddie Kingston when he offered his hand to Eddie Kingston at the end of Full Gear, and Eddie just turned away and walked out. CM Punk did the exact same thing, and it just works. It works on every single level. Yep. And it just gets you oh, okay, now I have to watch. I have to watch next week to see if CM Punk is going to say something against MJF, or what's MJF going to respond to CM Punk having just dissed him in the middle of that ring without shaking his hand after he introduced himself. So this is going to be a good story, man. This is going to be a great story, and we'll see if this is going to be the one that that causes CM Punk to take his first loss in AEW, because he's been on the road, and there's a good chance that he does the job for MJF to help put him over. So we'll see how this storyline plays out.
Yeah, that's a good point. MJF could be the guy to give him his first loss in AEW, and that can kind of be kind of a big deal because, you got CM Punk, who's by many fans considered the best in the world, in his one of the best in his generation, absolutely. And to put over someone like MJF, that means that CM Punk sees something really big in him. Mm-hmm. This is going to be interesting, dude, because there's been a lot of naysayers ever since CM Punk has come back to AEW that he's not moving the needle. And I don't think that CM Punk necessarily has to move the needle. It's not CM Punk's job to move the needle. It's AEW's job. It's Tony Khan's job to move the needle. And Tony Khan is doing the best that he can, assembling the best wrestlers and the best talent to try to move that needle. But again, AEW is I wouldn't say a very niche, because I don't think there's such a thing as a casual fan. I think everybody secretly is a wrestling fan. You know what I'm saying? So, so it's Tony Khan's job to make AEW to move that needle. It's not CM Punk's job. It's not he's doing what he has to do in order to push the new talent on a bigger stage. And I think CM Punk is doing that beautifully. He's done it with these new talents. And if he can do that with MJF, and MJF is way beyond his years right now, dude, that'll just say so much. Punk doesn't have to say anything. And just by taking that match and putting him over, I think that says a lot about Punk, about what he does business with MJF.
Oh yeah. We saw, already the beginnings of all the support for MJF with his feud with Chris Jericho. It took them, those 3 matches that they had to really continue telling that feud. They put MJF on that high of a bar. So imagine if you put him on that same program, put him in a feud with CM Punk and he gets the win, that's only going to be great things for MJF going forward. But of course, speaking of his former rival, Darby Allin, it looks like he's going to be having a little bit of a program with Billy Gunn, because after the segment with MJF and CM Punk, he was backstage with Tony Schiavone saying, you know what, He'll get his rematch at some point with MJF, but until then, he wants to continue to face the biggest and baddest in AEW. And out comes the heel Gun Club with Billy Gunn telling him, well, hey, I'm clearly the biggest guy in AEW, and I'm also the baddest, so, you should take me on. And then, of course, his kids talk about, I love turtles, and trying to make fun of Darby Allin, walks away. And Darby Allin's like, screw it, let's do it. So next week, or on Rampage, actually, we're going to get a match. We're going to get Billy Gunn versus Darby Allin, as well as the Super Click. So right before the opening segment with Adam Page, they were backstage, and Kenny Omega said, yeah, he lost and all the stuff. However, he still needs to work on some things, but he can't do it here. So he left it up to the Young Bucks, and Adam Cole thought he was talking to him. He's like, no, I got you, Cleaner. He's like, actually, I was talking to the Young Bucks, but I need you guys to hold down the fort while I'm gone. So if you guys didn't know, Kenny Omega actually wrestled Full Gear with an injury. He's been having shoulder issues. He wasn't able to lift weights heading into the match. However, the medical staff worked the magic. He was able to have a spectacular match with Hangman Adam Page. So it looks like he's going to be taking a little bit of time off to recover, which much deserved to Kenny Omega. So get well soon, recover up. We can't wait to see you back. But of course, Matt and Nick Jackson aren't cleared to compete. However, Adam Cole still has a bone to pick with one Jungle Boy who, thinks he's a jungle man after almost killing Matt Jackson on Saturday. However, he has his boy and Bobby Fish, so we are going to get a tag match on Rampage.
His best friend. He said, I have one of my best
friends and Bobby Fish. So we're going to get one half of Undisputed Era going up against Jurassic Express. But I do love how when Bobby did his promo.
We can't say that. It's copyrighted.
That is, no, sorry. You can't say that. So, of course, he almost did it too. His hands were getting close.
And that.
No. Sorry, you can't do that here.
You're going to have to put the pixelated blur on his hand.
It's like just a black bar across it so you can't see it. So I thought that's a great way to set up these matches for Friday. We did also have the quarterfinal match in the TBS Championship Tournament, which Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose went at it, and they kept bringing up not only the past. Nyla Rose had never gotten a win over Hikaru Shida, and they were talking about how Hikaru was at 50 wins. She was the first one to 50 wins, and she was there at 51 after she got the win on the weekend. But Nyla Rose was at 50, and because of this win, Nyla Rose is now tied with Hikaru Shida for the most wins in the women's division after she just decimated the knee of Hikaru Shida throughout the entire match. Vicky Guerrero got involved at one point, and even Serena Deeb once again getting involved, really continuing that storyline between her and Hikaru Shida. So we can assume that's going to be another match. However, Nyla Rose gets the win finally over Hikaru Shida, advancing into the tournament. And man, it's starting to keep shaping up, man. We still got Jade Cargill and Red Velvet on one side, she had a little video package when she came out sounding extremely Latina. You could hear it in her voice. When she's mad, she comes out
from
really
Miami, bro.
Yeah, you hear
That's
it.
that Miami accent. You know what I mean, bro?
She was so angry that it came out. It came out of her, and she came out very Latina on that, which I thought was
straight out of your mama's
fantastic.
Kitchen,
so that's going to be a great match. We still have, Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander. So we got some really good matches left in this TBS Championship tournament. So that's going to be awesome to see. But man, this tag match, you cannot tell me Dante Martin
good match.
Is not one of those. They should be a fifth pillar, and it's Dante Martin because he continues to freaking shine every single time. I'm only worried about when his brother comes back because Top Flight might hold him back. Like, he's doing so great on his own. I think that might tie it into the story when his brother is recovered, trying to win back his brother over Leo Rush. Either way, Dante Martin, every single time he has a match, you have to watch just because this kid is just freaking athletic, and then teamed up with Leo Rush. Like, you just cannot turn away.
Unbelievable, bro. White Power Ranger Leo Rush is the best Leo Rush. Let's talk about that. All right. Dude, everything he did tonight in that ring was awesome. Both of them. And matter of fact, just of the amount of athleticism that Dante Martin has when he's hitting that nosedive moonsault and he lands it because he notices that the guy moved. I'm like, get the hell out of here. And not only that, he almost cleared the ring.
Yeah.
Like he almost went outside of the ring from the opposite. Like he did a coast to coast moonsault. I'm like, this guy, he probably could do that, which would be amazing to see. But man, this guy is on another level, and I think his team up with Lio Rush is perfection. I don't like this angle with Team Taz. Oh, you're not going to be on our team? Then we're going to beat you up. It's and I'm going to get to that on NXT too, because I'm not too fond about that, what's going on over there too. But come on, dude. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on there. I feel like anybody who starts in AEW, your first feud has to be with Team Taz.
Team Taz.
That's like level 1 of 12 level bosses.
That's the tutorial level. You have to get to Team Taz. Right? And you get to the main.
Is the tutorial level of AEW. Like, if you're a new wrestler, you just got here, guess what? You're feuding with Ricky Starks. Oh, you just got here? Oh, we're going to put you in
powerhouse hops for you.
Yeah. Powerhouse hops here.
There you go. You gotta make sure you're ready.
That's how you your starter kit from AEW. There you go.
Cool new music and a first feud with Ricky Starks or Powerhouse Hops. So expect that tag match happening very soon. Team Taz versus Dante and Leo. But man, this main event, which I had to do that to you, Jose, in the chat, because of course this is the open challenge for the TNT Championship, which I had to ask Jose. Man, Sammy's already got a main event open challenge TNT Championship match. How many did Miro have when he was champion? But at least this was a really great match, and this was a good introductory match for Jey Lethal. We knew how talented Jey Lethal is. He's been in the business for 19 years, and you put him up against one of arguably the most athletic guys in AEW. They're going to do something spectacular. But Sammy, again, playing up all his ribs injuries from the Minneapolis Street Fight, which one quick bone to pick with that. Jose, why was there tags at the beginning of a
I have no idea, Rico. I was asking myself the same question.
And once they all started brawling, nobody cared afterwards. But before that,
street fight. Why are you all in a court? Exactly. Like, why? It's a street fight.
They shouldn't have
using weapons. You should have just started brawling from the get.
Or it could have been like, you know what? No, hey, let's show off what we can do. All right, call each other out, but don't tag each other. Just be like, hey, you get him and you swap out. Don't make it tags, and then you try to make it feel like it's official and there's rules that don't matter. Anyway, besides the point, Sammy's ribs were injured from that match. He did get the win, Jericho got the win over Lambert, like we expected. However, he was still playing off those injuries, and man, he was taking a lot of shots to the ribs. He did that swanton bomb from the top of the turnbuckle through the table after Jey Lethal rolled off of it, and that did not sound good at all. I cringed at the sound of it. They had to cut to commercial, even in picture-in-picture. Don't go away. We're going to keep with the match in picture-in-picture. And the entire picture-in-picture was the medical staff checking up on Sammy Guevara to make sure he can continue on this match. But overall, this was a great match between both of these two guys. Sammy had counters for days. He was countering everything that Jey Lethal threw at him, landing on his feet almost every single time. But of course, he was able to gut out through the pain, hit Jey Lethal, was the GTH, and he is still your TNT champion. And the rest of the Inner Circle come out at the end of the show to celebrate with him. Great way to end off the fallout from Full Gear tonight. I thought it was a great show, Jose.
It was good, dude. It was good. I mean, we got the debut of a current legend in the business in Jey Lethal. We had a great turn with Daniel Bryan. We have a brand new champion. Dude, I feel like this is almost a reset button on AEW with new storylines and everything. I got to give this tonight, even though we do. Keep in mind,
no Miro.
No surprises, no Miro. Tonight was a pretty damn solid episode. I'm going to give it an 8.5.
I was thinking right there. I was right there with you at 8.5, but one name, man. Tomohiro Ishii. Like, continuing that forbidden door, that just got me hyped, because in my head, even though I'm jumping the gun a little bit, just thinking about all those potential other dream matches that we can get with Orange Cassidy, with the Best Friends, and Chaos. So it's still up there where Okada can essentially come at some point to AEW and team up with, hopefully not Wheeler Yuta, hopefully with Orange Cassidy to face off against anybody in AEW. a great women's match, between Hikaru Shida and Nyla Rose. Great segment between MJF and CM Punk. Daniel Bryan, like you said, was amazing. And like those little segments with the Super Click, especially with Bobby Fish and him not being able to say, and that's undisputed. You can't say that. It's trademarked. You can't say that here. Yeah, man, I'm gonna give it a solid 8.5 too. Like so close to 9. If something else would have happened, something else was sparked.
If we were dealing in quarters, I would give it a little bit more, but we don't deal in quarters. So I would have given it a 9. Something else would have, I don't know, something else big would have may have needed to happen in order for it to be a 9. But dude, for it to be a post pay-per-view show, it was a pretty damn good show. Pretty damn good show. All right, man, let's move over to NXT. Before we move over, guys, make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Like, share, and subscribe. Go ahead and smash that notification bell so you never miss whenever we drop brand new content. Tons of stuff dropping ahead of Survivor Series. The 4-on-4 Team Rick versus Team Sid Trivia Challenge this Saturday afternoon, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be live. We're going to be answering questions and having a good time ahead of Survivor Series. And then on Sunday night, right after Survivor Series here in the Sportskeeda Wrestling Channel, we're going to be having the post show, the Survivor Series post show, featuring myself, Kevin Kellum, and Jeremy Bennett. We're going to be reviewing everything that went down on this coming up Survivor Series event. So a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. But let's jump into NXT 2.0. Again, man, I don't know exactly where they're going with NXT 2.0. We got War Games literally 4 weeks away, almost 3 weeks away. We just found out one team, but we did have some entertaining things on the show, particularly my favorite, the Bron Breakker and Tomasso Ciampa promo. That promo was great. Because earlier in the night, Carmelo Hayes was talking about how he's the A champion and Grayson Waller is knocking on all the indie guys that came through the business that are trying to, traveling 500 miles just for a hot dog and 2 people in the, in attendance. The game has changed and I don't have to do that anymore. And Tomasso Ciampa kind of took that as an insult. He came up like that. Johnny Gargano came up like that. A lot of the guys from the Black and Gold brand came up like that. So he was insulted. But then while he was trying to rebuttal what Grayson Waller had said and what Carmelo Hayes had said about being the A champion, in comes Bron Breakker. Bron Breakker tells Ciampa, you don't need to be worrying about all these talents. You don't like all these talents. You just need to be worrying about me taking that title off of you. Ciampa holds on to Goldie, looks at the Goldie, holds the mic, and he just looks at him. You have about as good as a chance. No, and a matter of fact, a 33.33% chance of ever winning this title back. And Bron popped for that. Like, he laughed.
He smiled.
The crowd smiled for that. I thought that was fun. I thought that was great. Again, WWE kind of giving you the nod that, yeah, we know that you know, but we're never going to admit it.
Say it.
Exactly.
Say that here.
So I like that. I thought that was cool. What did you think, man?
That's why you gotta love Ciampa, because even after he said that, it's like, yeah, you're a little pup, compared to some of the other guys. Like, again, referring to his dad in the dog face grandma. So it's those nice little nods. Even though we can't say it, we're gonna give that to the fans that actually know, even more behind the scenes than what we're actually seeing on screen. But yeah, so it looks like we're still seeing more of this Bron Breakker versus Tomasso Ciampa. I would not be surprised if this becomes Team Breakker versus Team Ciampa for the second War Games match. And it's going to be kind of like we alluded to before, NXT 1.0 versus NXT 2.0. Because you have Ciampa that basically called out all these young guys. So imagine it. So now all the people that he called out. So, calling out, Grayson Waller, calling out, he's starting to talk about Tony D'Angelo, who got cut off, and then Carmelo Hayes. So don't be surprised if it's Bron Breakker, Hayes, D'Angelo, and Breakker on one team versus possibly like, Ciampa, Gargano, Pete Dunne,
yeah.
and, somebody, or Dexter Lumis
Maybe
if he's medical clear to somebody.
Yeah, Kyle
O'Reilly.
Yeah.
But they can do that if Von Wagner happens to be over at SmackDown, because he even referred to that too. Like, oh, if it is an Adam Pearce's bodyguard, like, they acknowledge everything else that happens outside of NXT, but SmackDown and Raw don't do that. They don't mention, Von Wagner as a member of NXT.
I absolutely love the ignorance that the SmackDown commentator. Who is that man? I've never seen that man. Come on, guys.
Yeah, all of NXT commentators are continuously plugging Survivor Series for this weekend, so they obviously pay attention to Raw and SmackDown. But Raw and SmackDown don't pay attention to NXT.
Don't insult our intelligence. Just admit, you know who he is. Say his name.
Oh my! Is that Von Wagner from NXT? Yeah, he's been teaming with Kyle O'Reilly. He's really making a name for himself. It's not that hard.
It really isn't.
But I thought it was a great segment between, Tomasso Ciampa, especially from the backstage too, when he started getting into it. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go outside in the ring and say it. So he's that kind of guy that he is the old man of NXT. He is, that guy. He is the top of the mountain right now. And he's holding it down against a young up-and-coming guy like Bron Breakker, like Carmelo Hayes. So I would not be surprised if it happens to be the other War Games match. They still have 3 weeks essentially to put it together. We got a little bit more official on the women's side, which we'll talk about, but not too bad of a segment. However, we did open up with Dexter Lumis versus Tony D'Angelo. Now, I wasn't able to catch this match, Jose. What happened with Dexter Lumis? Because all I saw was he's got checked up on afterwards, and Indy wasn't even able to make it to her tag team match because of Dexter Lumis.
Yeah, so what happened? What happened was that Tony D'Angelo was able to get the win, but it was after the match that Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams beat down Dexter Lumis with a steel chair, and then they pinned his arm, like pretty much like his forearm and wrist, to the chair. Carmelo Hayes jumped on the chair, possibly breaking his arm, which is why Indy had to go and pay attention and be there for her hubby, which is what caused her tag team match to end up being a handicap match, because later on, Persia Pirotta, she had a 2-on-1 handicap match against Gabby Stevens and Jenna Levy, and Persia just absolutely demolished both of them. No problems there. But yeah, so Carmelo Hayes took out Dexter Lumis's hand. That's probably going to lead up later on into either a program with Dexter Lumis. Obviously, we got something going on with Johnny Gargano. So we'll see. We'll see what happens down the line there. LA Knight had a little backstage segment. The megastar said he doesn't need all the extra stuff. If you want to label him 2.0, 1.0, it doesn't matter. He's about to make that turn. He's talking about Grayson Waller having all this momentum because he's been kind of having this thing. He came in and stood in for him as the Halloween Havoc host when LA Knight couldn't make it there on time. So it looks like he's going to have a little feud there. We did have a matchup here. The Diamond Mines, Roderick Strong, and the Creed brothers going up against Jacket Time and Odyssey Jones. Jones and Jacket Time get the win on big there with Odyssey pinning Roderick Strong. Then we got a little segment backstage with the grizzled young veterans, the soon-to-be women's tag team the soon-to-be tag team champions, because they stole Toxic Attraction's tag team titles in order to send their nanny a picture to let them know that they're on the up and up. But then later on, they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my title." So I don't know. I thought that was stupid. I didn't like that segment at all, and I didn't like what was going on with MSK. MSK is in this search for this shaman, who's probably going to turn out to be RVD. That's what's probably going to turn out to be. It's probably going to be RVD, and we all knew about it. But they've been just traveling around and search for the shaman. They got separated at one point because one wanted to pay for first class or got upgraded to first class with meals and whatever. I don't know. I'm lost with MSK. What happened? They just
with
fell from
MSK and Grizzled Young Veterans, bro. Like two of the top tag teams that they have, the two guys that we assumed would be going back and forth with those NXT tag team championships. And now, granted, I do love Imperium. I'm glad that they have the titles, but what happened to MSK and Grizzled Young Veterans? They're soon to be out of NXT just because of they don't know how to book them. But hopefully they'll figure it out. I mean, they're figuring it out with the North American title because, like you mentioned with the storylines earlier, we're getting a triple threat match. We're going to get Carmelo Hayes versus Johnny Gargano versus Pete Dunne. So we got a spectacular match for the NXT North American Championship. But then with this NXT Tag Team Champions, we don't know what the hell is going on. And hopefully they figure this out. They try to talk about how great the tag team division is. Yes, it can be if they actually utilize everybody in the right way. Instead, you just have the Creed brothers that are, just demolishing Jacket Time, that's basically the whole reason of having Ikemen Jiro and Kushida together, just to feed them to the Creed brothers to make it look strong, even though they got beat by Odyssey Jones, thanks to him being in there. He pinned Roderick Strong. He pinned the NXT Cruiserweight Champion, even though he's never going to get a chance at the Cruiserweight Championship belt, because that wouldn't be fair. He's definitely not 205.
He damn well does not weigh 205.
So it looks like, while they're doing a great job of trying to develop these other singles guys, the tag team division is kind of it's a weird place right now. It's in a very weird place right now with two top teams.
It's just like the main roster. Whoa. Wow. Whoa.
It's like if they don't know what they can do
used to have a killer tag team division. Now it's just like the main roster. That's exactly what you guys wanted at the WWE executive offices, right? Well, now you're getting it.
And you know what they love, Jose? They love Samoans, which is why we continue to have Zion Quinn just beating down on poor Andre Chase and his student section in the Andre U and the Chase U. It was just a quick match for him, but it was really to set up what happened afterwards, because after he got the win, he gets attacked by Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde, and sorpresa! Santos Escobar is back. He lays out Zion Quinn alongside Elektra Lopez because you got to let him know nobody says no to Elektra Lopez, and they laid him out. I would not say
I will never say no. Nope. Never say no. This isn't one of those cases that you never say no. Did you see what she was wearing?
Bro.
Mwah. Love Elektra.
She's looking pretty good. Pretty good. However, this is the first time I've ever seen this, but we had a scripted poker match in the middle of the ring as we had our first ever poker showdown between Cameron Grimes and Duke Hudson in the middle of that ring. How did you feel about that segment, Jose? Was it worth it? Or was it a big old waste of time?
I thought it was funny. I thought it was more because of how Cameron Grimes came off. He did pretty much the same exact thing he did last week, but with everyone in the ring. But this was just an excuse so he can get his hair cut, he can get his beard cut, because Dookie can't take a loss very well, and decided to assault Cameron Grimes after going. How much did he lose? Like $20,000, $30,000 or something like that. It's quite a bit of money. Yeah. It's a lot of money for some people that don't have that amount of money. But yeah, so he ended up cutting Cameron Grimes' beard and chopping some of his hair off. So we're probably going to get a brand new look by Cameron Grimes next week. But if you're asking me about the entire segment, like the kids say these days, meh. I was more entertained by watching videos on my TikTok.
They tried something. They tried something new.
They tried something. Just like Kyle O'Reilly and Van Wagner. They tried something new against Josh Briggs and Brooke Jensen. They got a win. Yay. Am I invested in them? No, I'm not. I'm not invested at all.
Yeah, no.
I feel like right now, I don't.
The tag team division is amazing. They got some talented guys. They don't know what they're doing with all of them right now.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that tag division. Tonight we got to see a little bit of a continuation of a story, or not tonight, last night on NXT. Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Dakota Kai cost Raquel Gonzalez her NXT championship at Halloween Havoc. by hitting her in the back with a shovel. Therefore, Mandy Rose capitalizing and becoming the new NXT Women's Champion. And Mandy Rose has been holding that title ever since. And Raquel Gonzalez feels that she's just keeping the title warm for her. But she needs to handle some business with Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai seems like she's completely mentally broken. Not sure if I'm liking it or loving it quite yet. I haven't made a decision yet on the character. But this went to a no contest because all hell broke loose as Toxic Attraction gave a little bit of aid to Dakota Kai. But it was afterwards, after Raquel Gonzalez got the beat down, that Zoe Stark came out in her crutches and everything. She pulled her crutch out. Io Shirai comes out. So Io Shirai came and gave a little bit of backup to Raquel Gonzalez
and Cora Jade came out earlier
and Cora
with
Jade,
the skateboard,
which is kind of unexpected. But she's been having some beef with Dakota Kai too. Mm-hmm. So this looks like it's going to be a War Games match because Io Shirai, after the segment was over, War Games. So it's such good shit.
Yeah. Thanks, Rock Jordan T5.
It's such good shit. Yeah, I think so. This was the only thing that kind of between this and the Tomasso Ciampa promo with Bron, those were the only good things on the show tonight on NXT that I liked and that entertained me. Other than that, dude, it was a really hard show to watch, and you can notice it in the ratings, dude. The ratings were low. The demo was like a 0.11, which is like 132,000 people that watched the show in the demographic. So it wasn't very good. This is like the all-time low ever since their debut back in 2019. So this was not a good rating show for them at all. And you can tell, dude, I don't know what's going on, but they need to either start making that TV 14 stuff that they're talking about, make it happen now, or do something that's going to captivate your audience. Because right now, it's not, and I did not like it. And with that being said, I'm gonna have to give this a 5, dude. A 5. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give this tonight a 5 for NXT because there's no dude. When you have a huge pay-per-view 3 weeks away, why are you not building up to that pay-per-view? Why? I don't understand why you don't have your men's team or starting to build up for a men's team. It's and Stephen Chambers, 5 is too generous. Stephen, I may have to agree with you, but I'm going to stick firm with my 5 because I don't want to be too mean. But they really need to figure something out. They need to figure something out, Rico.
Yeah, and man, I try to be the more optimistic out of the two of us, and I'm trying to find reasons to give it a 5.5. I'm trying, and it's. They had a segment on Kaden Carter and Casey Canzaro.
Oh yeah, because they were at EDC. They were at EDC over the weekend, and they're the party bringers of NXT. Why? I know.
At least maybe Stephen Chambers has a point. Maybe if they add Kaylee Ray and then they add Kaden Carter and Casey Canzaro to make it 505 to make it more interesting. Because how long is Zoe Stark supposed to be out? Like, is she going to be good to go in 3 weeks? Because at this point, it's Toxic Attraction and Dakota Kai versus Raquel, Cora Jade, Io Shirai, and supposedly Zoe Stark. So I don't know if she's able to go, but if they need to add in a 5th person, because we had that little face-off between Kaylee Ray and Mandy Rose, then we can have those whole, they're enemies, but they'll be on the same team for the War Games match, even though they're eventually probably going to have their own feud. And you can bring in Team Ninja to at least make it a 5-on-5 match. That might make it more entertaining, because otherwise they haven't been doing anything else with the women's tag team division. Like, other than just, Gigi Dolan and JC Jane supporting Mandy Rose, they haven't built up anything for them for their next opponents. Like, we would assume it's going to be Team Ninja, but one way you can start that is at least have them in War Games.
At least.
So who knows? At the end of the day, I found it adorable that Io Shirai was the one that yelled War Games, but, part of me does miss having William Regal come out and having Adam Cole with the shock face.
Enough. There's only one way we can solve this. War Games.
And that's what made that pay-per-view great, was that the feud justified the pay-per-view. Now, for the first time in NXT history, We're working backwards. We're making the pay-per-view and we're trying to justify a feud to have it. So to me, that's going to continuously be the knock on this year's War Games is you're forcing a storyline to War Games as opposed to having War Games be the natural culmination of the feud.
Exactly. Don't use the pay-per-view to build your story. Use the story or use the pay-per-view to end the story, not to write it.
So at least with the women's one, they're trying to do something with it, but the guys, they haven't done ish, and they have 3 weeks to go. Like that might be the picking at pieces at little hints is the Ciampa versus Breakker. Other than that, there's no clue or any builds to any sort of men's War Games match.
The only thing I can see this way going down is black and gold versus sprayed color all over the place. OG NXT versus 2.0. That's how this should go down. But we still got 3 weeks. I'm going to try to stay optimistic for next week. We do have Thanksgiving next week, so we will be on next Wednesday night to bring you everything that went down in NXT and AEW. But guys, just be thankful. Be thankful for watching wrestling, all this crazy wrestling that we got going on right now. Rico, what you got going on, bro? I know we got some stuff going on this weekend. We're going to be celebrating some Friendsgiving. We got Weekends of Wrestling tomorrow, so make sure you tune in for that tomorrow. Where we haven't done predictions in like 2 months because we've been our schedules have been all over the place. But tomorrow we have Survivor Series predictions, Rico.
Yeah, so I'll just be the champion forever, Jose.
This is my time of the year to finally take my predictions championship back.
Yeah. I'll hold it forever. It's fine.
Well, go ahead and check us out over there on Weekends of Wrestling on our YouTube and on Facebook. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel here on Sportskeeda Wrestling. Smash that notification bell so you never miss whenever we drop brand new content. We got tons of stuff dropping this week and ahead of Survivor Series. So the only way you can find out what we're dropping, you got to subscribe and smash that notification bell. Notification bell. Sorry. My tongue got twisted there. But yeah, that is it for tonight, guys. Thank you so much. Follow me at Jose G Official. Follow Rico at Rico El Glorioso. And remember, guys, when you're watching wrestling, what's the most important thing they got to do, Rico?
Enjoy it. Enjoy wrestling.
Good night.